it's, wow, quite an honor to be so far from home, but even when I taught school to young children for a long time how to use the computers, an important element of my classes was being able to get on networks and reach out to people further away before the internet, and then after the internet, it was the whole world. A lot of what you do in life boils down less to what you have learned, your knowledge and your skills, and more to motivation. The great things that change our life are usually because one or two people want to do it. It's the wanting and the motivation that's more important. In fact, in my teaching years, it was less important what I taught and more important that a student wants to learn. If somebody wants to do something and they have a little bit of a brain about how to combine things, put them together, and make something new, they will do it. Everything we have today that makes our life digitally better is based on transistors. When I was a young kid, you could make one transistor, and now for the same price, you can make 10 billion transistors. A transistor is an electronic neuron. That's why our products get smarter and smarter. Now, we kids that were electronic kids, we wanted electronic parts more than we wanted money. We would do work for the neighbors. We would weed their lawns. We would mow their lawns. And then we would ask to be paid by going into their garage, looking at their mayonnaise jars full of little switches and other kinds of parts. Ooh, and that's what we wanted to be paid with. With a little bit of knowledge that the parents helped with, nothing in school. We learned enough electronics to make small projects all on our own as kids. Early core values, the things you did on your own without needing parents to support you, the things you were independent at, often drive your direction in life. It's part of that wanting that I was talking about, what you want to do.
So what would be amazing would be if you could maybe at length give some advice to these people, to these entrepreneurs, these startups, these emerging companies.
Well, when you're starting, I spoke earlier about knowledge is less important than motivation, but one of the things is a lot of companies say we've got to find somebody who went to a university and took exactly the right courses. If you can find a little builder who has never even gone to college but has built little electronic devices, computer devices, their whole life, put them together, written software over and over and gotten to complete projects with no reason behind it, but they've gotten really good at combining pieces and figuring out a way to build anything, that's the engineer you want. You need an engineering talent. And it doesn't have to be a real engineer. The guy who designed the hardware of the Macintosh had learned how to design with as few parts as Steve Wozniak. Amazing. He looked at everything I'd done and he never went to college a day in his life. But he wanted to and he learned how to do it by studying it. So get a good engineer. You need a good businessman that really wants to plan things and keep them stable and organize things and hire people in charge of hiring and watching things over. That's very important. And marketing is maybe the most important of all. Understand your market to the sense that people really will buy this. A lot of people start companies and they have a product that is useful, but it just isn't useful enough compared to what we have already and alternatives, and it doesn't sell. So get those three talents. They could be all in one person. They could be in two people. They could be in three people. But that's for the very early start on things. I'm actually an Apple employee. I get a small token salary because I am the only person who's been paid a salary by Apple every single week since we started the company. But I don't have any kind of all these contracts. I can't talk about things. Because I'm just they know I'm too open and honest and wouldn't run the company that way. I wish Apple were in some ways more open. I look at some of our success stories. Our first product, my Apple II computer, Steve Jobs hadn't gotten into his closed mode. He was just going to approach it. But that was such an open computer. Anybody in the world could easily see the methods to design extra devices that plugged into the computer. Things like music keyboards before there was any digital music. They could design them and they could write any program they felt like. It was totally open. We exposed and printed all of our designs and software. And then I look at another big success for Apple. Well, let's jump ahead all the way to the iPhone, which Steve Jobs smartly kept out of sight of Bill Gates while it was under development. And what was I going to say? It was let's go back when Steve Jobs really made it. Okay, he left Apple, and our valuation of the company was the same as the Apple II days. And Steve Jobs came back to Apple, and our valuation was the same. And he hugged a new computer and introduced the iMac, and our valuation was the same. And he introduced a new operating system after a couple of years, and our valuation was the same. When did we ever go up as a company, start to rise? The iPod. The iPod was such a great music device. And thank you. It really was. When I had music devices in those days that cost a huge amount of money, and my songs could be on little camera cards, electronic cards. The trouble is, it cost $1,000 for enough songs to go on a 5-hour flight. So, and I had devices called mini disc from Sony, real cheap for the media, but you had to record your own, and here came the iPod. You plug it into the computer, and all your music is on it. No thinking, no steps. This was such a great device. Well, Steve Jobs did a rare thing. He went open and wrote iTunes for Windows, our music software for Windows users. So you didn't have to own a Macintosh to buy a Macintosh, to buy an iPod. You could have Macintosh or Windows and use the iPod. The iPod sales doubled our revenues, doubled our profits. The stock went way up. The board of directors gave Steve Jobs billions of dollars in stock and airplanes. And that was really a big success, and it was a time of openness.
Yeah.
And the iPhone. People ask me, what product from Apple has changed your life the most? And I look at my life these days, and I used to say Apple II or the iPhone or the Macintosh. And what I say now, oh my gosh, what has changed my life the most is the App Store, the third-party App Store. We opened a lot of the world out to hundreds of thousands and millions of people out there that are smart enough to create apps that do useful things. And at the end of it, yeah.
So you're not an investor, so you've got a complete, straight, transparent opinion about the future. We've spoken about old school, Apple, Hewlett-Packard, Google, Facebook, etc. What companies, or maybe give me for the audience, a couple of companies that are emerging that you think are awesome?
Okay, emerging. I kind of still go to the larger companies today. They've got the funds to buy up any of the small emerging ones and look like it's from them. But when we got to Apple, had a product once that you could handwrite with your own handwriting. And I wrote a little message the first day I had mine, just to remind myself. I wrote it on the notepad, Sarah, Dennis, Tuesday, 2 p.m. I saw another button, and I clicked it. Oh, my gosh. It opened up the calendar. Tuesday at 2 p.m., it put the word dentist, and it grabbed Sarah out of my contact list. I said, forever, I want to talk human talk. I want to speak a human way and have the machines understand me. If I wanted to call my friend Jim, I would handwrite, call Jim, and I'd hit that assist button and go beep, 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 beep. And I didn't have to follow the structured method of typing, 353-4747 on the phone. I just had it play it. I got to live in the human world. Now we got speaking programs. Siri, I had Siri for a year before Apple had it. It was a third-party app, believe it or not. You could ask it amazing questions and get answers. That's like talking to human beings. So artificial intelligence, when is it going to understand better, not just my words, but what I mean and what I'm asking, so I can get answers very quickly to exactly what I want. So artificial intelligence still needs some work, and I think Google is ahead in that area of all the companies of the world. They've been putting deliberate effort into it.
Any other sectors that you find extraordinary? Anything else, apart from AI?
Oh, well, I quite admire what the automobile company Tesla is doing. It's possible that someday we will convert from gasoline cars to, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing to say in this part of the world, but from gasoline cars to electric cars and have a cleaner world, and I think Tesla is the real start of it. They found the formula, and the formula is not only the car, the formula is also the charging stations, which are the gas stations for electric cars. Up until Tesla, with their Model S, you could buy an electric car and maybe go 50 miles in your local area. Maybe you could even buy a Nissan Leaf and get 90 miles. That's not enough to get me up to San Francisco for a concert and get back home. So these cars were just too limited. And my wife and I love to take long road trips. Tesla started putting in the superchargers. They expanded it. Now they've got hundreds and hundreds of superchargers on every highway in the United States that you drive for a couple of hours and you charge it for a half an hour. And you drive another couple hours, and they don't interfere with our road trips. That is That one amazes me. I think that technology, every car company in the world, like Tesla, is working on self-driving cars and electric cars now. It's just a change that's happened. I learned a lot from Apple experience. Products that are just good and will sell and make money are not enough. It's got to be outstanding and exceptional and really incredible. And sometimes it's very hard to think out, how do I make a product that is better than other human beings elsewhere would make it? It takes extra time and extra work, and it's not always easy, and you've got to fight hard. It's one thing Steve Jobs was good at. That was a good side of his life.